Yeah, okay. So in the next 15 minutes, I will share some thoughts and some case studies of artificial intelligence in healthcare innovation, which is happening in Beijing BDA. Later, I will give you a little bit of introduction of BDA. So let me see how to move the screen. Okay. So as we all know, and we probably talked a lot, is right now we're facing a global challenges. We have a growing of a world population, but we're getting older, and everybody's getting older. And when the people past my age, we're getting some problems, some diseases. But in the whole world, we have about a 13 million provider shortfall, and we're facing a lot of and more chronic and preventable diseases. And now we see the COVID-19 pandemic, and we do have some other epidemics and here and there. So that is the global challenge in front of all of us. And how to tackle those challenges? One of the way is really to utilize artificial intelligence. So I like to just share with my thought, and this the middle should be not equal to. So the artificial intelligence, in my view, is not equal to IT. So by definition, as we talked a lot, is AI is something is can perceive its environment and take actions, maximize the chance of success. So it's more related to not to the IT technology. It's part of IT technology is part of AI, but it's more related to cognitive functions and to things like a human being can do, and things that can do better than human being. It's like learning, problem solving, reasoning, knowledge, planning, communication, perception, and manipulating, etc. So as we look at the artificial intelligence and healthcare innovation, we have three levels of artificial intelligence in the healthcare. First level is really the machine learning. So we can see nowadays we talk about deep learning versus shallow learning, have started from isolated individual learning to the machine can constantly learning by itself, we call it machine learning, and then to a connected internet learning and have feedbacks as well. And eventually this drive to I call it intelligent service. So that's the first level from the machine learning, then get up to capability of, from this machine learning build up capability of machine can understand, reason, predict, and optimize. And from there, build expert systems. And in healthcare innovation, this expert system eventually drive into disease prevention, rehabilitation, and healthcare management. So that drives to the applications, in my view, and also we use how we use artificial intelligence in Beijing for applications. So one area, as one of the professors talked earlier, so we call it digital products, or you call it smart products or intelligent products. So that means is if you do surgeons doing a surgery in the past, we heavily rely on the experience of the surgeons, see whether there's any could be any adverse event coming in. But this one, with some sensoring, some monitoring, which being able to record the data and send the data to the cloud and compare it to the surgery you have done in the past, and from there you can find any abnormality. If there's any abnormality, that can circulate back to the surgeons, so either remind the surgeons or send a recommendation to surgeons. So those type of closed loop products, and we have seen more and more, and that's one of the type of products we are developing at BDA, the digital products. Second one is digital manufacturing. So digital manufacturing, you call it intelligent manufacturing. So is you have a manufacturing line, you are able to monitor every single step and find out whether the process parameters is a nominal or is off the nominal, and being able to move the process parameters back to the nominal. So that means that every single step you have 100% yield. As we know, for a reaction or for a manufacturing process, the more steps you have, the lower yield at each step, you will have a very low total yield. And the more problematic is that if that happens, the quality of the product will be poor because you have a lot of defects built in your manufacturing line, and some of this defective product will leak out from your manufacturing line and eventually get into hospital, get to the patients. So with those type of digital manufacturing line will help you not only improve your economics, but more importantly, to improve the quality and take care of the quality control. And the third area is we call the digital supply chain, which we have a company called Jingdong Jiankang, is a part of the Jingdong company. I'm going to talk a little bit in later. So they applying the artificial intelligence into supply chain, the front part of supply chain, which is started from raw materials all the way to manufacturing line, and the back end is when they have the product and they start to send the product through the supply chain to the doctors, to hospital, to patients. So those management usually, especially when is a company has thousands of products, or a city they have dealing with the millions of products, is usually quite challenging, quite difficult, and we cannot afford to have any mistakes. So those type of smart supply chain can help us address those issues. And the last, as we mentioned, is intelligent service. You can provide service in healthcare, in hospital management, etc. Okay, so those is what we have been dealing with in Beijing for applying digital technology, artificial intelligence, plus internet in healthcare innovation. So to that, can see the capability to transform and to disrupt healthcare industry. Those artificial intelligence capability, including cognitive computing, as mentioned, the digital machine medicine, incentive competition, gamification, etc., robotics, etc. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talk about those capabilities, as a lot of professors has already covered those capabilities. But from any of those capabilities, if we combine those with the traditional ways of in healthcare, traditional ways to discover medicine, traditional ways to build medical devices, and we'll come up with the total transformation of the product line, of the industry, or some cases we could disrupt the whole healthcare industry in that area. Okay, so as we see with the artificial intelligence, that we can see the future of the surgery is, as I just mentioned, the AI with the machine learning and the big data provide doctors, scientists, and patients with the latest and the most accurate real-time clinical understanding or recommendations or corrective actions. So those will be the future surgery. The surgery will not rely on one or two person, will rely on the one or two lead surgeon, plus the experience from many surgeons, which build in the big data. Future patients will be the wearable medical devices, network, sensor, those things are associated with the patients that can constantly, in real time, measure what the health condition of the patients, and this data can either send to the cloud data to compare with the normal data, or compare with the data that patients had in the previous few days. So you can have a control charts from there, or you can send this data to the doctors and to their family members. So those get everybody connected, even they're not physically at the same location, they are connected. So they can provide the time needed, timely based and needed care to the patients. So that's the future of patients with the AI. And in our BDA, we are developing a few products along those area. So a future of healthcare operations. As in China, we have seen differences of the quality of healthcare in different regions. Like Beijing, we receive, most of the citizens in Beijing receive top-notch care, healthcare in Beijing. But if you go to some other remote areas, and some of our citizens are not that lucky, that they have probably they received they could not receive such a high quality care. So those artificial intelligence built into healthcare system can connect all the expertise to remotely to everywhere. So even in a remote place, even the areas that the group are pretty not as wealthy as the people in Beijing, they could receive the same quality or equivalent healthcare service. So that's one of the goal objective for apply artificial intelligence healthcare operations. And also this helps the AI in healthcare operation helps resolve the minor issues before the disease has progressed into a critical conditions. So those can be done by link the AI and with the monitoring, in situ monitoring with the patients or with the small clinics. The future of healthcare R&D, as we have seen more and more, the AI and with the we call it informatics and genomics, all those are connected together, provide the tools to scientists, to our doctors for develop research and develop the future medicine and future medical devices. And especially if you look into clinical trial, right now I would say we waste a lot of resources, especially clinical resources in clinical trial. Each company have their own clinical trial, and they require a certain amount of patients to get the statistically important, significant results. But a lot of this data can be shared if you have the similar type of medicines. So the future of healthcare R&D, the turn the R&D and clinical trials from discrete academic projects into a global network. So we are all connected. We share the data, sharing the results. So the development of medicine or medical devices will take a shorter time and will take less resources. And the future of precision medicine and precision surgery is, as we saw, genomics, precision medicine, and personalized therapy provide healthcare professionals with expanded toolkits. So one of the area we worked a lot is on cell therapy, like for example, CAR T. So those cell therapy is more individualized. Every person almost need customized, personalized care system. And even for manufacturing, when they draw the blood and start to modify the T cell in the blood and start to infuse back, and all this process is individualized. You cannot share the manufacturing line with other patients. So the future of this precision medicine relies on capability of human being use artificial intelligence to manage this individualized production, individualize the personal medicine, or individualize the personal medical devices. So that's going to be the future. And the last one is the future of medical educations. Nowadays, as we all learned, and after this pandemic, we do a lot of online meetings and the learnings. So now there's virtual augmented reality revolutionized medical and nursing trainings, and we have seen more and more of this in the future. And this will not only helps to accelerate the medical training, but also helps us as a society to send the needed knowledge to the remote places where they may not be able to have the same level of access. So this is about our BDA, and we have a booming healthcare industry right now under BDA. My organization, we have about 1,500 companies, and they are focused on pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceutical pipeline will reach 50 billion RMB, and that's in the pipeline. And the medical device pipeline is about 20 billion RMB. That's the pipeline we're having right now. We have spent a lot of effort, and this booming area is we call the AI healthcare products. So this including the products in intelligent diagnostics, And for example, we have a wearable devices can measure the glucose of the diabetic person, and now we're developing the company developing a insulin pump, is portable carryable insulin pump coupled with this inline diagnostics. So if there's onset increase of the glucose in patients' blood, they can manage to inject just enough amount of insulin into the human. So before you really progress into a huge problem, huge issue, it's already quenched. The glucose level has already been compressed. So this is one of the examples, and we do a lot of in rehabilitation robots, and we have surgical robots developed in PDA. And as I mentioned, we have manufacturing lines on doing digital GDP as well, as I mentioned a little bit later. So this is one we talked about, the industry park for cell therapy. So right now we're building that. During the pandemic in February, we start this project. We're going to, later on, I'm going to show you a picture. We're going to close the project by about March of next year. So it's about a little bit over a year. We're going to finish all these constructions. The companies and the researchers and the entrepreneurs, they have already booked their area. They are going to move in probably around the mid of next year. So this is designed in each cell. Each cell has the arranged. You can rent for one cell versus you can rent for half of the floor. You can rent for whole floor. And each cell some cell based on the needs. We have certain monitoring on an AI in technology built into that to help the entrepreneurs which develop a different cell therapy be able to trace their products from beginning to the end. So those are some of the intelligent manufacturing process has been developed by a couple companies, will be applied to this industry park. Everybody who wants to move into this industry park will be able to entertain that AI technology. And that's one of the pictures that's I took 3 months ago. So the Etang speed, we started from February of this year, and the people work day and night and even 24 hours a day. And as I mentioned, for such a 6 building, not six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 building is in this park. It's taken just a little bit over a year being able to close and take another few months to do the decoration. And 1.5 years will be able to allow entrepreneurs to move in. And more importantly, we're trying to build some intelligent manufacturing process to help entrepreneurs build into this industry park. So that's all I have. And just the last few minutes, some issues I think we should consider in the future when we talk about AI in healthcare innovation. One is the medical regulations. As we know, AI devices, they change. Every time you use, they learn and they change. So how do we deal with the change of the AI devices? So we will need the urgent need to establish the medical devices around artificial intelligence, medical devices, or some other products. So we need to establish, optimize, and more importantly, we need, that's probably my pitch to this organization, to harmonize at a global level for medical regulations, because we don't intend to invent and use by your own country. Probably we want the globalization, we want the whole globe can share the innovation. So that's one area we need to consider. And the second area we need to consider is cybersecurity. So when there's a malicious attack by hackers, how do you deal with that? And what would be the cybersecurity law? And can the whole globe, every country, share some common practices in cybersecurity law? So that's another area we all need to pay attention to. Third one is the medical ethics. So if there's a adverse event from AI surgery, who's responsible? Is the manufacturer, or is the hospital, is the surgeons, or whoever? So those are the medical ethics that will be we need to be considered in the future. um, Patient privacy. So when you have the AI and sharing the data database be able to benefit other patients, how do you classify the patient's information and how to differ to treat it differently at a different level, how to provide different level of information with a different level of protection. So those need to consider as well, because I know different people have different needs or understanding of providing protecting their privacy, and different countries have different common understanding as well. So that area needs to be understood, prepared, and also probably harmonized as well. And AI emotions. So we quite often find, and when we talk, people dealing with the AI diagnostics, patients may have distrust because they think the AI machine's lack of empathy. So how do we deal with that? And in the future, is that a problem or not? Okay. And the last is the long-term degradation of skills from the humans. So when we rely more and more on artificial intelligence, just like right now, a lot of us, we don't know how to drive without a GPS. So how do we deal with those, especially when some of our surgeons and the nurses, they start to lose some critical skills and they all too heavily rely on AI technologies. How do we deal with that? The last one is that possible AI in the future will replace humans? And how do we extract the value from AI? Is just use AI to simply do the tasks that human beings do not want to do? Or is we want to use AI to do things that a human being cannot do, which we have found more and more. So that's all I like to share with everybody. And thanks for listening.